Welcome to Wilson's Wild Ride. I'm Wilson, this is Renee, and nothing is more exciting than getting your brand new RV, taking the possession day where you go in and you take possession of it and they do the walkthrough. And I know a lot of us out there may be very knowledgeable and you think that you already got it, you're already on top of this thing. You know what, this is not my first rodeo, but listen, this is your chance. This is your chance to walk through this thing with them before you leave the lot, for them to show you everything and to find stuff that may not be working properly.
This is your opportunity to ask questions.
Right.
Ask all the questions you want. No question is inappropriate. And the dealer should have all your water and electric hooked up before you take possession.
Exactly right.
I like to take my video camera, but take a pen and paper. Whatever it takes to make sure that you're recording.
You could do it on your phone.
Right, what the walkthrough is.
Yes.
Don't miss your walkthrough. Up next.
All right, so we're going to start outside. This is where you're going to start anyways. Let's go to the back of the camper. And we're gonna look at your ladders. So not all campers come with ladders, but a lot of them do. Ours came with them. You want to make sure that you pull these pins. You want to make sure that this thing you can operate it, and make sure it goes back up. Make sure the pins will go back in.
And it's a good idea that you do.
Yeah, you do
most of the work.
Yeah, don't let them do it. You do it, because you're going to be the one that's doing this. All right.
That's right.
Now, the next thing, and this was an issue with this one. See, we bought this one brand new, and the issue with this one is it has this electric reel. It reels it in automatically, and you get it in there. Make sure it's all nice and neat when you reel it in. But then what happened was, when you let go of the button, it was like trying to unwind. They ended up having to put a new switch in there. And so this is the perfect example of why you never rush these things, because this is your time to find out. This is your time to learn your new camper with the people that are supposed to be the ones that show you how to do it. Right? We have we're parked right now, so I've got my tires covered because I try to keep them covered to keep the sun off of them. But the next thing you want to do is you want to look at your sidewall tires, the sidewalls of your tires. You want to make sure that tires aren't flat, right? You want to talk to them, and you want to ask them, what is the what is the PSI that are in those tires right now? And then whatever they tell you, actually get down there and look and see what it says as far as maximum tire pressure. Make sure that is where you are. And now in here, you're going to want to make sure that your water's hooked up, because that's very important. Let's have them hook the water up, turn the water on, and because that's when you're going to find if there's any leaks. Maybe it's a brand new unit and someone left a clamp off, and then you put that water pressure on it and it pops it off. Instead of waiting to find that out at the campground, you can find it out right there at the dealership. It's very important that you never rush these things. I can't stress that enough. And then you got your then you have a lot of these things have your external showers. You can
we didn't know anything about the water heater.
No, so our water heater on this rig is a tankless water heater. So that it's all gas. Not our old camper was gas and electric. You could choose either one. So you want to make sure that your hot water heater is working in both modes, electric and gas. Do that before you leave.
And it was a good time for us to learn all of these little gadgets and things, and we did ask. We asked about all the little, what does this mean? What does that mean?
Right. So like I said, check out your have them turn the pump on, your water pump on, and make sure that pump is working. And turn on your external shower. See, this is plugged into my black tank, so this right here, it flushes my black tank, so I don't have to run a separate hose for that anymore, which is kind of neat. If they don't have you hooked up, there shouldn't be anything in the tanks, and you should be able to open and close your tanks if it's a new unit. If it's a used unit, I wouldn't do that. And then you're going to want to make sure that your tanks are there. You know, this is a new unit, and sometimes that, you know, a lot of times when you buy a vehicle, they do like a 35 point inspection before they put it on the lot. Maybe some dealerships, maybe some RV dealerships do something like that. Maybe some of them don't. You might get to the campground, if you hurried out of there, you might get to the campground, find out that you don't have your tanks,
or they're not full,
right? So you need to make sure, yeah, you need to check your tanks, make sure that you have your tanks, they're in place, and that they are locked down, and make sure that they are full. That way you have them when you get there. Because like with us, this thing is, we wouldn't have hot water if we didn't have that. I mean, a lot of them run off electric, electric or whatever, but and then you got your equalizer systems for your getting everything level. You got to have them show you how to use this
and make sure it works, because we had to do that because of the hitch. But
because another thing too with these is these are ran on hydraulics, right? So you want to make sure that they operate these things in front of you, because you want to make sure that these seals are good. Have them run them all the way up, have them run them all the way down, and now you can't do your front ones until you actually hook up to the truck. You know, once you're on the truck, then you can run your front one up and down. But you could run the back ones, because you got two in the middle and two on the rear. You can run those up and run those down. Make sure that everything looks good with that. Make sure they sound good. Make sure they're not popping and all that good stuff. So that is the time to do that.
And the equalizing system is something that you were unfamiliar with.
It absolutely was, because we had a regular travel trailer before with the little wind down deals where you put your Anderson blocks and get them we don't do that anymore with this. This rig does it by itself. So if you're like me in a situation where this is brand new to you, make sure that they show you and videotape that, because it's very important. Okay. When you hook up your hitch, have them show you what to do. Don't have them do it. Have them show you what to do, and you do it yourself.
Yeah, the trailer should never come around already hooked up to your vehicle.
Absolutely not. You need to do that for yourself. Have them show you, because that's very important that they show you, because they're not going to be there whenever you go to leave next time, or when you go to unhook. They're not going to be there.
That's right.
Another thing that you're going to want is have them run the awnings out.
Make sure that the awnings come out.
Yeah, make sure they come out. Make sure everything looks good with them.
We had it on our first Imagine, the awnings weren't coming out. So we did have to go back and get that fixed. Yeah,
they had to replace the switch on that. The awning wouldn't go out. So yeah, make sure that the batteries have a full charge, and make sure that they give you a battery, number one, and make sure it is charged. And then
also make sure that your stairs come down properly and go up properly.
Yeah, and I mean, that's nothing more than just opening the door. Hi, Charlie. Back, get back. That's nothing more than just picking it up and and all the way. I'm not going to do it because I got these so far out because of where we are right now. But you want to make sure that goes in, and it goes in square. It's not like hitting up against the door frame.
Right.
Because if it is, then they're going to have to make that adjustment before you leave.
Exactly right.
Take advantage of this, because this is what they are supposed to take care of for you as the consumer.
Okay, I like to bring my list. I take a list, and I've only done this a couple times. Now, the people think that because they've done it before, or they purchased before, or they've been campers for 30 years, they don't need to do it. They don't need to do it. They do need to do it, because every camper is different. Okay, so I like to start with the windows, and I go around and I'm gonna check every shade. That's my thing. I wanna check every shade and make sure it goes up the way it's supposed to go up. Then, this is something that both of our campers have had, and I like to do, is make sure that works. Make sure that has all of this electronics
No, the fireplace, yeah.
Fireplace is on, the electronics work, the remotes that we have work, that the radio works, and then we go over and if this thing right here, the chargers, I'll plug in all the chargers. Now, this is something that we didn't go on outside, but I also like to check all the outlets, and that is inside and out. Take something with you to plug in. I'll use like a night light and plug it in to see if all the outlets are working, because believe it or not, sometimes this stuff isn't hooked up to something. Something is wrong, and that happened twice. Once right over here over by the coffee pot, and then once outside. So you really need to check to make sure all the outlets are working.
And that could be something just as simple as a breaker might be flipped,
right,
might be off inside the thing.
Right.
And they flip the breaker and it goes to working. It can be that minor.
Right. And if your camper comes with a TV, turn that on. Make sure that works. Make sure that all the lights inside and out, and that includes your awning lights and all your front lights. It includes all the lights inside. And here's a little tip. I didn't know how to turn these lights on. So all the lights were done, which we'll show you in a second, by the control panel, except for these. Took me a minute. We also make sure that the oven and any of our gas products work. If you are like me and you use the oven a lot, I made him show me how the oven worked. Also, the exhaust. This is new for us, and he had to show us how to do the exhaust. The exhaust actually has to be turned on outside. Something has to open up outside for us to be able to use it.
Yeah, it's got a little damper on the outside, and you press it and it locks in place while you're traveling, or if you have it in storage. But when you get to where you're going, you can open it and then your exhaust will work.
That's right. Okay, then the lights out under here, and here's something that's super important: the refrigerator. I have seen so many posts where people get to their campground and the refrigerator will not cool down. I like to make sure that it's going to at least start to cool down. So we turned it on, we heard it turning on, and then we also made him explain the ice maker to us.
Right.
We took everything out because everything was still in here. They had left all the tape and all the goodies in there, styrofoam,
yeah,
everything. We took it out and we made him explain it, how to use that ice maker. And it was a good thing because it was freezing at the time. The weather was really cold.
It was January.
And if we had tried, and this is something, we would not have known, and we would have done it, because we were in Texas. If we had tried to do the ice at that time, we would have busted the line because it was freezing that night, and we wouldn't have known that.
Yeah, because the little line that goes to the freezer for the water is exposed outside, and you don't see it, but it is exposed underneath.
Right. And he was he was up front. You're not gonna be able to use that ice maker right now, which was great. We were very appreciative. I'll say, okay, and the breaker box and where everything goes. Yep. I've needed this a couple times.
Yeah, because sometimes you'll go and a light won't turn on or something won't happen, and you go in there and you'll notice that a breaker is tripped.
Okay, now this was completely different, and we have done a whole we've done a whole thing on we've done a whole thing on the command system.
Right, we've got some videos on this to how to reset it and the whole 10 yards, because we had some growing pains, let's just say. But this is a really neat system. Even though with the growing pains, I still like this system. It's so everything is here. And they'll show you this.
Except for those lights over there by the window.
Right. But you set that up. You can do your lights. It shows the dinette, awning, all that. The awning's off. I'll turn that on. That way we can show you all in a minute. And then let's go back. And here's your water pump. Turn your water pump on. Make sure that your water pump runs. And a lot of times that water pump, you're going to hear it. It's going to be somewhere near where the water plugs in on the outside. Probably somewhere close to your bathroom. And And then with the tank heaters, you can't really, it's kind of hard to test those because they're up underneath there, so you can't really tell. You just kind of hope that they
But
do
we
work.
were glad that they returned on the water tanks because they were making a noise, and it kind of was like, what is that noise? Remember?
Oh yeah, that is right.
Yeah, and
So-
and it was making a big noise.
Right.
And he got to tell us what it was.
And so then of course you have your slides,
And this also this was also for our fans. It showed us how to use all of our fans and what our fans could do. So if you see these fans right here,
yeah,
they're great.
right,
you got 4 different settings, but I would never have known that it was in this.
Yeah, this is right here is for those fans there. Then we have a ceiling fan that's here, and then this right here is the hot water heater, the tankless hot water heater. It's set at 130 degrees. That's as hot as you'll get, because it's been cold. So.
And that's all you need.
Right. And
okay, and we also make sure we do this to every sink.
Oh yeah, you want to check everything. Make sure, and then I stay there and hold it and wait for the water to get hot.
So we checked all of these, made sure how to use all of this. It's just like if you were buying a new home. This thing is expensive. We also have to say that we checked everything in here, and your hydraulics on your bed, check that, and then go back down and make sure that that's still working. And your TV in here,
Check
if
your
you have a
TVs.
TV. And I think the last but not least was important to me was that this locked. And see how sticky it is? I wasn't used to that. And I took the key and made sure that I could use it. Make sure that you have your fire extinguisher. That's required. Make sure that your fire extinguisher is full.
Yep, make sure it's full. You'll see that.
This was just a checklist for you guys. I'm gonna leave it the list in the description below so that you guys know what to ask about for the outside and the in. And remember, this isn't just for people that are newbies. That you guys, all the campers are different. You might buy the exact same one, but it won't be the exact same one same year.
Right.
Things happen all the time, and there's different things to look into. And I just want you guys to make sure that you don't pass this up. This has been a big thing on posting that I've seen people just pass up the walkthrough.
Right.
Don't pass up the walkthrough.
Everything is man-made, and I mean, so it could be something could be messed up, and
That's right. And the best
overlooked.
time for it to be fixed is before you take it off the lot.
That's exactly right. We hope you found this helpful. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to enjoy the ride.